Hi everyone, my name is Jinila Sally. Welcome to Docker series day 4. In the last session, we learned how to install Docker using DigitalOcean. In today's video, we will explore how Docker actually works and go through some important commands to manage Docker containers and images. Docker working process. When you install Docker, it provides two key components, the client and the daemon. The client makes API calls to the daemon. The daemon implements the Docker remote API to manage containers and images. The Docker run command starts a new container. Docker Hub acts as the default public registry. The daemon automatically pulls any image it does not already have locally. Container related Docker commands. Docker PS, Docker start container ID, Docker stop container ID, Docker RM container ID, Docker logs container ID. Image related Docker commands. Docker images, Docker search images, Docker RMI image name. Now you understand how Docker works and the key commands to get started. For more details and a step-by-step explanation, check out the YouTube link given below. Stay tuned for Docker series day 5. This is Jinila Sally. Welcome to Docker series. Today we are going to learn about working process of Docker and some important Docker containers and image commands. When you install Docker, it provides two key components, the client and the daemon. Working process of Docker. When you install Docker, it provides two key components, the client and the daemon. The client is what you interact with. It's the command line tool where you type command like docker run, docker ps or docker images. The client does not actually create containers itself. Instead, it makes API calls to the Docker daemon, which does the heavy lifting in the background. You can think of the client as the controller and the daemon as the engine that makes everything run. The daemon implements something called the Docker Remote API, which allows it to manage containers, images, networks, to receive instructions from the client. When you run a command line Docker run nginx, here's what really happens. The client sends this command to the daemon. The daemon checks if the image exists on your local system. If not, it automatically pulls the image from Docker Hub, which is Docker's default public image registry. Docker Hub is like GitHub for container images. It's where millions of ready to use images are stored. You can use official images like Nginx, MySQL or Ubuntu, or even publish your own custom images. Once the image is available, the daemon creates a container, a lightweight, isolated environment that runs your application with all its dependencies. It sets up networking, assigns resources, and launches your container within seconds. Now we can see how to install Docker and some Docker important containers and image commands. Now we can see how to install Docker and some important Docker container and image commands. Now first we have to log in the AWS console page. After that we have to install EC2. Now we have to launch EC2 instance. Click on launch instance. Now we have to launch EC2 instance name. After that we have to select Ubuntu. We will take instance type as t2.medium. Select the existing key pair as new. Click on launch instance. After launching instance, we have to connect to the server. Click on connect. Sudo -i. Click on enter. Apt update -y. Now we have to install Docker. Apt install docker.io space -y. This is the command to install Docker. Now we can execute some of the Docker container commands. Docker space run space -name myc1 space -d space -p 80 is colon 80 nginx colon latest. We take container name as myc1 and -d stands for detached mode for the running container, and -p stands for port forwarding. This is the creation of Docker container command. We can take multiple containers. It is one of the command, and we can take another command as docker space run hyphen name and we will take container name as myc2 space -d -p. It is the port number for SonarQube. We will create a second container. These are the two containers we have created. If we want to see the list of running containers, we use docker space ps. Here we can see the running containers. If we want to see the only containers ID, we use the command docker space ps space -a q. By using this command, we can see only the containers ID. If we want whether the container is running with the detailed information, we use the command docker inspect container name as myc1, enter. This is the detailed information of the container. Here we can see port number as 80. And we can see here image as Nginx latest. By using this command, we can see the in detailed information of the running container. Clear. Click on enter. Docker exec space -it space myc1 as the container name space /bin/bash. By using this command, we can run the command inside the container. These are the files which are present in the Docker container. Exit. Docker logs myc1. By this command, we can see the container logs. Here we can see the logs, time with date. To stop the container, we can use the command docker stop myc1. If we want whether the container is stopped or running, we can use docker ps command. docker ps-a. To stop the running containers, we use this command. Docker start myc2. Docker ps space -a. This command is used for stopping the containers and running the containers. Here we will see in the status. Now how to start the container? By using docker space start myc1. Here we can see the running and stopped container. By using the stop command, here we see the status is exited. By using the start command, we see that commands are running. Now we can see disk usage command. Docker space docker system df. There are two images we take. One is Nginx and one is SonarQube. There are total two images. Active state are in 2 and the size is 1.385 GB. Second one, containers. There are totally two containers. 2 are in active state and the size is 164.9 KB. Local volumes. There are 4 local volumes. Active state are in 4 and the size is 724.5 MB. Docker ps. Here we can see I have created two containers. If I want to delete single container, I use the command docker space rm space container name as myc1 space -f. By using this command, we can delete the container as myc1. Here we can see the deleted command. For example, if we want to delete multiple containers, we use the command docker space remove $docker space ps space -aq space -f. We can see that both containers are deleted. When we use this command, both containers are deleted. Up to now, we completed Docker container commands, and now we will execute the Docker image commands. Docker space image. Here we can see that both images, Nginx and SonarQube. It lists the images which are presented in our container. Now, if we want to search Docker search Nginx.
Now we have to search.
If we want to search any particular image, we use the Now, if we want to search particular image, we can use docker space search space Nginx. Here we can see the images. Now I have two images, Nginx and SonarQube. Here we can see Nginx and SonarQube. if we want to delete Nginx, we can use the command docker space rmi space Nginx. Here we can see the command, the images are deleted. These are the basic Docker container commands and image commands. Thank you.